So this morning I've been thinking about shame, and shame is a very harsh, very difficult and very debilitating actually sense inside ourselves. And generally the sense comes from a space of unworthiness, unlovableness, unworthy, unlovable. I think those are probably the two biggest reasons for lack of, or for shame actually. So, and that shame can show up in all sorts of different aspects of our lives, whether it's in our friendships, in our love relationships, in our day-to-day, how we choose to live, the mistakes that we make. Do we put shames on, mistakes or choices that we make that perhaps are not, they're not the nicest choices or the best choices for ourselves? Is shame appears and goes, see, I told you, and actually it's not true. It's a very strong voice, and it can be countered. And I think the only way of countering shame is through love and through compassion and through actually choosing to understand and identify where it shows up for you. I'm certainly becoming more and more aware of where it shows up for me, and to just remind yourselves that actually these are just stories you've told yourselves that have created the shame. They're not stories you've told yourselves, they're stories you've believed. They're stories that happened in, things that happened in your childhood that left a residual feeling of unworthiness, unlovableness, unloved, uncared for, unvaluable, not valuable enough, all of those nots. And yet we are. So if we saw ourselves as divine beings, and we saw ourselves through the eyes of God, and we saw ourselves as God, actually, or as a divine being, then actually none of that's really true, because in that space of love, there is nothing but love. There's no unworthiness, there's no un-this, there's no un-that, there's no not good enough, there's no... all of those things that we've believed about ourselves aren't actually true. And so it's peeling back and reminding ourselves, because these habits are so strong, and in my case I've been here a long time, so, and however long you've been here for doesn't really matter anyway. It's just, they've embedded into almost, those sense of shame and unworthiness is almost, it's almost in the felt sense of your whole body, your whole being. But we can change it, but we can only change it when A, we notice it, and B, we choose to change it. And we choose to change it firstly by our thoughts, actually, or by holding on to ourselves, by reminding ourselves that actually we are divine and we are lovable and we are valuable and we are worthy and we are all of the things that we think we're not, in the negative sense. And so, yeah, it's really just changing it and repeating the change until the new habit gets formed into the cellular structure of your being. Because once it's embedded into the cellular structure of your being, we can only bring it up to the surface, and we can then transform it and transmute it into love, And isn't that amazing that we can do that? And we don't have to carry all of this old stuff anymore. We really don't. It's really a choice. Do you really want to carry it? Do you really want to walk through life carrying all this garbage? No, I certainly don't. And it's not garbage in the sense that, yeah, it is garbage actually. It's complete garbage, because it's not true. And it's just what we've taken on as beliefs from the way we were spoken to as a child, the way adults behaved around us as a child, the way they modeled for us or didn't, modeled for us in ways that really weren't kind, weren't helpful, weren't kind to themselves. Because certainly in my case, my parents had no sense of self-love whatsoever. And although they did actually talk about it, but they didn't know how to do it. And so I'm carrying that mantle now, because it seems to me that that's the only way forwards in life. And then you emanate a different energy and you emanate a different field, and your relationship with yourself is just so different, and it's so much kinder, and it's so much more loving, and it's so much more joyful. So who wouldn't want that? So what happens to you? Where's your shame? How do you hold your shame? Are you able to even identify your shame? Are you able to really even go into your shame? Because boy, is it painful. it's horrible. Shame is horrible. It's like, feels to me like it's this nasty, dirty, stuff that just sits inside me, and I want it out. I want to transmute it to gold and to love. That's what I want. And so that's my mission in my journey to self-love, is to transmute the shame, the darkness of shame, to the gold of love. What are you going to do?